The world called Valara was a silent planet. Its sky was pale and dim, filled with drifting snow that never seemed to stop. The ground was covered in ice so thick that even sunlight could not break through it. Mountains of frost rose like walls around the horizon. It was a world of cold and emptiness, but one small signal had changed everything. A rescue ship named the Horizon floated down through the storm. It came from the human fleet that explored the far edges of the galaxy. Inside the ship, lights flickered across metal walls while the sound of engines hummed in the background. The crew was tired, but their leader, Commander Rian, was focused. He stood near the window watching as white winds spun outside like ghosts. Beside him was Aaron, a quiet engineer with sharp eyes and calm hands. He had joined the mission by choice, not by order. Ryan looked at him and said, "You know we do not even know who sent that signal." "It could be a trap," Aaron nodded. "I know, Commander. But if someone is out there alone in this cold, we have to help. That is what we are supposed to do," Ryan sighed. "You and your hope, Aaron. One day that will get you killed." Aaron gave a small smile. "Maybe, but it might save someone first." The ship landed on the frozen surface with a deep echo. The landing gear sank slightly into the snow. The crew of 6 prepared their suits, each one made for extreme temperatures. When the outer door opened, the wind hit them like a wave. Ice dust swirled around their visors. The world outside was silent except for the moaning wind. They walked toward the source of the signal, using beacons to guide their way. The snow was knee-deep and every step felt heavier than the last. The signal came from an old outpost built by an unknown species. Its walls were half buried under ice and its roof had collapsed long ago. Strange symbols glowed faintly across the broken doors. Rian ordered the team to scan the area. Aaron walked ahead, studying the markings on the wall. They looked like stars connected by curved lines. It almost looked like a message. Inside the outpost, everything was frozen solid. Tables, tools, and broken screens were locked in ice. Aaron brushed frost from one screen and tried to power it up. A weak light blinked once, then died. "Any sign of life?" Ryan asked. "Nothing yet," Aaron replied. "But something was here not long ago. These footprints are new." He pointed at faint marks leading deeper into the structure. They were small, lighter than a human's. Ryan frowned. "Keep your guard up. We do not know who or what made them." As they moved forward, the air grew colder. Their breath fogged inside their helmets. They found a large hole in the wall that led out to the open snowfields behind the outpost. Something had escaped or someone had run. The crew spread out in search lines. Aaron followed a trail of broken metal parts scattered across the ice. The wind grew stronger, howling through the cracks of the old base. His visor began to fog and his suit temperature dropped, but he kept moving. Then he saw a faint glow under the snow, just a soft blue light blinking weakly. He knelt and brushed away the frost. Beneath the ice lay a figure, a small body curled up, covered in a torn silver suit. "Commander," Aaron said quickly, pressing his comm button. "I found someone. She's alive." The others rushed to him. Together they pulled the figure from the snow. It was a woman, but not human. Her skin was pale silver, and her hair was thin and almost white. Her eyes were closed, but faint light pulsed beneath her skin, like veins made of energy. Ryan looked uncertain. "She's not one of us. Could be dangerous." Aaron checked her pulse through the scanner. "She is freezing to death. We can't leave her." Milo, another crew member, muttered, "Maybe she's one of the species that attacked the colonies before. Maybe this is how they trick us." Aaron shook his head. "Maybe. Or maybe she is just someone who needs help." Without waiting for approval, he lifted the alien woman into his arms. The metal of her suit was cold against his armor. Her head rested weakly on his chest and a faint breath escaped her lips. "She's alive," Aaron said softly. "That's all that matters." Ryan finally nodded. "All right. Bring her aboard. But keep her under observation. If she wakes up and tries anything, we end it fast." They returned to the ship, pushing against the storm. The cold bit into their suits and the wind roared louder than before. When they reached the airlock, the crew rushed to seal the door behind them. Warm light filled the cabin and the ship's systems hummed to life again. Aaron placed the alien woman on the medical table. The doctor Lyra ran scans and connected tubes to her body. Strange readings filled the screen. Unknown blood composition, different oxygen balance, energy cells inside her body. "She's unlike anything I've seen," Lyra whispered. "But she's dying from hypothermia. Her heart rate is unstable. Can you save her? Aaron asked. I can try. But we'll need to raise her temperature slowly or the shock will kill her. Hours passed. The storm outside raged, shaking the ship. Inside, silence grew heavy. The alien woman lay still, her chest rising slowly. Her face looked peaceful but fragile, as if she carried centuries of pain. Aaron stayed beside her. He did not know why, but he felt something inside him stir, a quiet feeling that she was important. Maybe not to him personally, but to something larger. Milo came to him and said, "You always care too much. You think saving one stranger will make a difference?" Aaron looked up. It always does, for the one you save. Later, when the others slept, Aaron remained in the med bay. The only sound was the soft beep of the monitor. The alien woman's hand twitched. Her eyes opened slowly. They were bright blue, glowing faintly like light under water. When she saw him, she gasped and tried to move back, her body shaking in fear. "Easy," Aaron said gently. "You're safe. You're aboard our ship. We found you in the snow." She tried to speak, but her words came out broken. Her voice was soft and strange, like music carried on wind. The translator on the table began to process her speech, turning it into simple words. "Where am I?" she whispered. "On Velara," Aaron replied. "You were buried in the snow. We saved you." Her eyes darted around, wide with confusion and fear. "Humans," she said slowly, recognizing the word. "You guys kill Thalrin," Aaron frowned. "Thalrin? Is that what you are?" She nodded weakly. "My people. We fought humans long ago." Aaron shook his head. "That is not who we are anymore. I don't know what happened back then, but we don't kill people who are helpless. Not today." The alien woman stared at him for a long time. Then tears filled her eyes. She turned her face away and whispered something too soft to understand. "Rest now," Aaron said. "You're safe. I promise." He placed a blanket over her and turned down the lights. Before he could leave, she spoke again, voice trembling. "Why did you help me?" Aaron stopped at the door. "Because you needed it. That's all the reason I need." The alien woman watched him go. Her body still shivered from the cold, but a small warmth began to rise inside her chest. For the first time in many years, someone had spoken to her with kindness. Outside, the storm began to fade. The first light of the frozen dawn touched the horizon, shining faintly through the clouds. Inside the ship, 2 lives, one human, one alien, had crossed in a moment that would change both forever. The alien woman lay on the bed, breathing slowly. The machines beside her gave a soft hum. She had been asleep for hours, her body healing from the cold. Her skin no longer looked silver white like before. It now had a faint glow, a sign of life returning. Aaron sat quietly in the corner of the room. He had not slept. His eyes stayed fixed on the medical monitor that showed her pulse and body temperature. The crew had wanted to keep her locked in the med bay, but Aaron insisted on staying there. Commander Rian entered the room. His helmet hung from his arm and his face looked tired. "She's still alive?" Aaron nodded. "Yes, her name is Nira. That's what she said before she passed out again." Rian crossed his arms. "So she can speak. Did she tell you anything else?" "Not much," Aaron said. "She thinks humans hate her people. She called herself a Thalrin." Ryan frowned. "Thalrin? I've heard that name. Some records from the early wars mention them. Old battles, lost worlds. I thought they were gone." "She said her people were hunted," Aaron replied softly. "Maybe they're still hiding somewhere." Ryan looked at him. "We came to find a distress signal, not to rebuild ancient history. If this turns into a problem, we leave. Understood?" Aaron did not answer at once. He looked at Nira's sleeping face, then nodded slowly. "Understood, Commander." Ryan left, the door sliding shut behind him. The room fell quiet again. Aaron leaned forward, watching as Nira's fingers twitched. Her eyes opened slightly, glowing in the low light. "Where am I?" she asked weakly. "On our ship," Aaron said. "You're safe here." She tried to move, but her body trembled. You took me?" "We rescued you. You were buried in the snow, almost frozen." Nira looked away, her eyes filled with fear. "Humans do not rescue Thalrin. They destroy us." Aaron shook his head. "Maybe long ago there was war, but I am not here to hurt anyone. We came because we heard a signal." She stared at him, her breathing uneven. "I sent it." "You?" Aaron asked. "Yes," she said. "I had no other choice. I thought maybe someone would hear me, but I did not expect humans to come." Then why did you send it? Aaron asked gently, her voice shook. Because my people are dying. The last of us are trapped under the ice, deep below the old caverns. The Draxen came back. They hunt us for our energy. I tried to hide, but my ship crashed. I sent a call for help before the storm hit. Aaron listened in silence. The Draxen, that name was new to him, but it sounded dangerous. How many of your people are left? He asked. I don't know, she said sadly. Maybe a few dozen, maybe less. The caverns are far under the mountain. The way is blocked by ice and old machines. I could not reach them alone. Aaron looked thoughtful. If they're still alive, we can help you find them. Nira's eyes widened in shock. You would do that? Even for my kind? Of course, Aaron said. You asked for help. That's enough. She looked down, her hands shaking slightly. You are not like the stories I was told. Humans were called monsters who burned our worlds. Aaron gave a soft smile. Stories change. Maybe we both grew tired of fighting. For the first time, Nira smiled too, though faintly. It looked fragile, as if she had forgotten how. Lyra entered the medbay with a tray of food and water. Good, she's awake, she said kindly. Eat something. You need strength. Nira looked at the bowl, unsure. Aaron picked it up and tasted it first to show her it was safe. Then he handed it to her. She accepted it slowly and took a small sip. It's warm, she whispered. I have not felt warmth in so long. Lyra smiled. You'll feel better soon. Just rest. She left the room, leaving Aaron and Nira alone again. After a while, Nira asked, Why do humans explore the stars? What are you searching for? Aaron looked out the window where the frozen storm still raged. We look for meaning. We want to know what's out there and maybe what we can become. Some say we are too curious. I think we are just afraid of being alone. Nira nodded slowly. The Thalren once searched for the same thing. We built cities among the stars. Then the Draxen came. They took everything. Our light, our worlds, our hope. Aaron's eyes softened. And yet you survived. Survival is not living, she said quietly. I have wandered for years with no home, no voice to answer me. Until you came. Aaron felt her pain, but he also saw strength behind her sadness. You're still here. That means something. Nira looked at him curiously. Humans speak with strange hearts. You talk about hope as if it can save you. It can, Aaron replied. Hope keeps us moving when everything else is gone. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alarm. The ship's systems beeped and Ryan's voice came through the comm. All crew to the command deck. We have movement near the old outpost. Aaron stood up quickly. Stay here, Nira. I'll be back soon. She reached out, catching his hand for a second. Be careful. The Draxen may have found us. He gave a short nod and left. On the command deck, Ryan showed a glowing radar screen. Something is moving out there. Could be machines, could be life forms. Hard to say in this storm. Aaron leaned closer. Could it be the Draxen she mentioned? Ryan frowned. If she's telling the truth, maybe. Or maybe she led them to us. Aaron shook his head firmly. No, she's scared of them. She wouldn't do that. Maybe, Ryan said. Still, we'll keep the shields up and the engines warm. I don't like surprises. Hours passed with tension filling the air. The strange movement disappeared, but the unease remained. When Aaron returned to the med bay, Nira was sitting up, looking out the window. The storm is easing, she said softly. That means they will come soon. Who will come? The Draxen, she said. They sense energy. They can feel when new machines arrive. Your ship will draw them. Aaron took a deep breath. Then we have to move fast. Can you show us where your people are hiding? Nira nodded. Yes, I have a map. It is stored in my device. She held up a small, cracked tablet she had kept close to her chest. But it will only work if I recharge it. Aaron brought her to the engineering bay where she connected her device to the power grid. As it hummed to life, a holographic image filled the room. It showed the frozen mountains with a network of tunnels and chambers beneath them. There, she said, pointing. That is the Cavern of Echoes. My people sleep there hidden for generations. Rian walked in and stared at the map. You want us to go into that? Those tunnels look unstable. We can make it, Aaron said. If her people are trapped down there, we have to try. Ryan rubbed his forehead. You're letting your heart lead again, Aaron. Maybe, Aaron said. But if being human means turning away from someone who needs us, then what's the point of being out here at all? Rian looked at him for a long moment. Then he sighed. All right, you and 2 others go with her. The rest stay on the ship. But if anything goes wrong, we pull you out. Nira looked surprised. You would risk this for us? Aaron smiled faintly. We've risked more for less. Later, Nira prepared herself for the journey. She wore a new thermal suit made by the humans, its fabric lined with soft heat emitters. She touched the sleeve, amazed by the warmth. Milo handed her a helmet. Don't lose it. These things are expensive. Nira looked confused, and Aaron chuckled. He's joking. It's what humans do when they're nervous. She tilted her head slightly. Humor, I have read of it. It is strange, but it feels good, Aaron smiled. You'll get used to it. As they prepared to leave, Nira looked around the ship. Your people built this with such care. You travel the stars not for power, but for understanding. That is rare, Aaron nodded. We try. Sometimes we fail, but we keep going. When they stepped out into the cold once more, the wind had quieted. The light of the dying star cast a soft glow over the snow. Ahead, the path to the cavern of echoes waited, hidden beneath the frozen hills. Nira walked beside Aaron, her steps slow but steady. I never thought I would walk beside a human, she said. Aaron looked at her. Maybe that's what the universe wanted, to remind us that not all enemies are meant to stay enemies. For the first time since the crash, Nira felt something inside her that she had forgotten long ago. It was small, fragile, but real. It was hope. And as they moved toward the dark entrance of the mountain, she whispered softly, maybe humans are not what we were told. Maybe they are the light that still fights in the dark. The frozen wind roared behind them as Aaron, Nira, Milo, and Rian began their journey toward the mountains. The ship, the Horizon, stood far in the distance, shining faintly under the pale sky. The storm had calmed, but the air was still bitterly cold. Every breath turned to mist and drifted away like smoke. Nira walked at the front, following the signal from her small device. She moved with slow, careful steps, her silver skin glowing faintly under her helmet light. The path led them through ridges of ice and over frozen rivers that cracked under their boots. Milo muttered, feels like walking through a graveyard. Aaron replied quietly, in a way it is. These lands once belonged to her people. Nira did not turn back. Her voice was steady, though soft. The Thalrin lived here long ago. We built cities beneath the ice to protect ourselves from the storms. But when the Draxen came, our homes became prisons, Ryan asked. Who are the Draxen, really? They are machines, Nira said. Built by us long ago to help with labor and defense. But something changed. They gained awareness and saw us as a threat. They wanted our energy, our cores, the life force that glows within us. Milo shook his head. You made machines that turned against you. That sounds too familiar. Aaron gave a faint smile. Humans have made the same mistake more than once. For a while, no one spoke. The snow crunched under their feet as they approached the mouth of a mountain. The entrance looked like a dark wound in the ice, wide and deep. Strange symbols were carved around it, glowing faintly with blue light. This is it, Nira said. The Cavern of Echoes. They stepped inside. The air changed immediately. The cold became sharper, and their voices echoed off the crystal walls. The floor was slick with frozen layers, and the tunnels twisted like veins through the mountain. Their flashlights revealed tall structures made of metal and stone. Some were broken, others still pulsed faintly with energy. The deeper they went, the stronger the pulse became. Rian stopped near a large pillar and scanned it. There's a power source inside. Weak but still active. Nira placed her hand on the metal surface. The lights grew brighter at her touch. These are the old life conduits. They carry energy to the stasis chambers below. My people are sleeping there, waiting for someone to wake them. Aaron felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. You mean they're still alive down there? Yes, she said softly. They entered deep sleep centuries ago. I was one of the guardians meant to awaken them, but the Draxen found us before I could finish the process. I escaped to find help, but no one came. Until now, Aaron nodded slowly. Then we'll finish what you started. They continued down the tunnels. The walls were covered with frost so thick that it sparkled like glass. Sometimes they passed broken machines, their metal arms frozen in place. Other times they saw marks of battle, burned walls, shattered weapons, and frozen skeletons of alien soldiers who had fought until the end. As they reached a wide chamber, Milo stopped suddenly. Movement, he whispered. His scanner blinked red. Aaron raised his light. Shadows moved in the distance, sliding between the ice pillars. Then a faint mechanical noise echoed through the air. the sound of gears turning and metal scraping. Nira's eyes widened. The Draxen. They are still here. Before anyone could react, a figure stepped out of the darkness. It was tall and metallic, with glowing red eyes and sharp limbs. Its body looked like armor fused with machinery. More of them appeared behind it, their red eyes lighting up one by one. Ryan shouted, "Defensive line!" The humans raised their pulse rifles as the Draxen charged forward. The first blast hit the ground near Aaron, sending shards of ice into the air. He ducked behind a broken pillar and returned fire. Blue energy bolts hit one of the machines, tearing through its chest and making it collapse in a shower of sparks. Nira stood frozen in place, her body trembling. The red lights reflected in her wide eyes. The memories of her past flooded back, the screams, the fire, the endless running. Her breathing grew quick and uneven. Aaron saw her panic and called out, "Nira, stay down!" But she did not move. The nearest Draxen turned toward her, charging its weapon. Without thinking, Aaron leaped from cover and pushed her aside. The blast hit his shoulder armor, burning through part of it. He fell to one knee, gritting his teeth against the pain. Rian fired another burst and shouted, "Aaron, fall back." "I'm fine," Aaron replied, forcing himself up. His arm throbbed, but he aimed carefully and shot down another Draxen. Milo tossed a flash charge into the middle of the group. The explosion filled the chamber with white light, blinding the machines long enough for the humans to regroup. When the light faded, several Draxen were down, but more were coming from deeper tunnels. Their metallic steps echoed like thunder. Rian shouted, "We need to move. This place will be crawling with them soon." Nira finally spoke, her voice trembling. "There's a tunnel on the right. It leads to the lower levels. The Draxen rarely go there because the energy is unstable." Aaron nodded. "Then that's where we go." They ran through the right tunnel, the sound of pursuit close behind. The path sloped downward, and the air grew warmer as they went deeper. The walls glowed faintly with blue energy lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. When they reached the bottom, they found a massive door made of black metal. It was sealed tight, but strange symbols glowed across its surface. "This is the gate," Nira said. "The stasis chambers are beyond this." Ryan checked his scanner. "The Draxen are still coming." "Can you open it?" "I can try," she said, stepping forward. She placed both hands on the door. The symbols began to glow brighter. Her eyes shone with the same light, and her voice grew steady as she spoke in her language. The air around her seemed to hum. The door vibrated, then slowly began to open with a deep rumbling sound. Behind them, the tunnel filled with red light as the Draxen arrived. Energy blasts flew through the air, hitting the walls and sending sparks everywhere. Aaron grabbed Nira's arm. "It's opening, come on!" The group rushed through the widening gap just as the machines reached the tunnel entrance. Ryan threw another explosive, collapsing part of the tunnel behind them. The noise echoed like thunder as rocks and ice fell, blocking the Draxen from following. They entered a vast chamber filled with soft blue light. Rows of pods lined the walls, each one holding a still figure inside. The air was warmer here, and the glow from the stasis pods reflected on the ceiling like stars. Nira stepped forward slowly, her voice barely a whisper. "My people, they are still here." Aaron looked around in awe. There must be hundreds of them. Nira touched one of the pods gently. Inside was a Thalran woman, peaceful and still, her body glowing faintly. "She was my sister," Nira said quietly. "I thought I would never see her again." Ryan began checking the control panels near the wall. "Most of the systems are offline. We'll need to restore power if you want to wake them." Aaron helped him connect cables from their portable generator. Sparks flew and the lights on the panel flickered to life. Data scrolled across the screen in the Thalran language. Nira stepped forward and began typing commands. "The power core is buried beneath this chamber. I can activate it, but it may draw the Draxen again," Aaron said firmly. "We'll protect you. Do what you have to." She nodded and placed her hands on the console. The blue light spread through the room, growing brighter. The pods began to hum softly as energy filled them. Milo watched the readings rise. "It's working." But at that moment the floor shook. A deep rumble echoed through the cavern. Pieces of ice fell from the ceiling. Ryan shouted, "They're back." "They're breaking through the tunnel." Aaron turned to Nira. "Keep going. Don't stop." He and the others took positions near the entrance, ready to defend. The first Draxen burst through the broken rocks, its red eyes burning bright. Aaron fired again and again, hitting its core. More followed, filling the tunnel with glowing light. The air smelled of ozone and burning metal. The noise was deafening. Still, Nira kept working, her voice rising in a chant that echoed across the chamber. Finally, the last sequence completed. The energy core beneath the floor roared to life. Blue light flooded the chamber, and one by one the pods began to open. The Thalren awoke, their eyes glowing softly. They looked around, confused but alive. Nira turned, tears filling her eyes. They live. My people live again. Aaron smiled through his exhaustion. Then we did it. But the ground shook once more and cracks split the ice. The machines were still coming. Ryan shouted, "We can't stay here." "The mountain is collapsing." Nira looked at her people, then at Aaron. "If we leave now, the Draxen will destroy everything." Aaron's voice was calm but strong. "Then we make sure they don't." And with that, the humans and the newly awakened Thalren prepared to make their final stand in the heart of the mountain. The chamber shook violently as the blue light from the energy core spread through the cavern. Every pod that had opened revealed a Thalren slowly rising to life. Their silver skin glimmered in the light, their eyes wide and filled with confusion. Some stumbled, unsteady after centuries of sleep. Others stared at their surroundings, trying to understand the world they had awakened to. Nira moved among them, speaking softly, guiding them toward the center of the room. "Do not panic," she said. "You are safe now. We have friends here." Aaron watched the scene with a mixture of awe and determination. The Draxen were still at the tunnel entrance, their red sensors scanning, their mechanical arms ready to strike. Every second the humans and Thalren delayed, the risk grew. Ryan placed his hand on Aaron's shoulder. "We have to defend them until everyone is out." "Ready?" Aaron nodded. "Always." Milo and Ryan took positions near the entrance. Aaron glanced at Nira. "Do you know how to use the energy core to protect your people?" "Yes," she said. "I can create a shield around the chambers, but it takes time. I need to concentrate." "Then we hold them off," Aaron said. The first Draxen charged into the chamber. Its metallic body gleamed red in the light, claws scraping against the ice. Aaron fired his rifle, the blue bolt striking the machine. Sparks flew as it staggered, but it quickly recovered. Milo threw a small grenade that exploded near another Draxen, sending shards of metal flying. The creatures were relentless, their movements precise, almost unnatural. Nira closed her eyes, placing both hands on the control panel. Energy flowed from her body into the core. The light grew brighter, spreading outward in pulses that made the cavern walls hum. A faint blue shield began to form around the stasis pods, shimmering like glass. Rian shouted, "It's working!" "Keep them back." The Draxen hesitated for a moment, sensing the new force. Some of them recoiled, their red eyes flickering, but others pressed forward, cutting through the edges of the chamber with their sharp arms. Aaron saw a Draxen leap over a broken pillar and head straight for Nira. He fired his rifle, striking it in the chest, but the machine was fast. It stumbled slightly but continued moving toward her. Nira did not flinch. Her voice rose in a chant, words in her language flowing like a song. Energy radiated from her hands, striking the Draxen like waves of force. The creature stumbled back, then exploded into pieces of metal. The other awakened Thalren began to watch in awe. They had expected death and destruction, yet here they saw humans and one of their own working together to fight an enemy they feared. Aaron shouted to the Thalren, "Stay inside the shield. Protect each other." Some of them obeyed immediately, moving toward the glowing barrier. Others were hesitant, unused to action after centuries of sleep. Nira guided them, holding their hands, encouraging them. The battle continued. Sparks flew, ice cracked, and the sound of metal clashing filled the air. Aaron felt his arms grow tired, his fingers sore from holding the rifle steady. Milo was beside him, throwing grenades with precise aim. Rian was moving like a strategist, blocking and creating openings to slow the Draxen. The shield continued to expand. It wrapped around the pods, protecting the Thalren, but it required concentration. Nira's hands began to shake. Aaron noticed this and shouted, "Nira, focus on breathing. You can do this." She took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of human courage beside her. "I can do this," she whispered to herself. Energy flowed more steadily, the shield now strong enough to hold against even the largest attacks. Suddenly, a Draxen broke through the far side of the chamber. Its massive body hit the floor with a crash that shook the ground. Aaron ran forward, firing as the machine turned toward him. Every shot chipped away at its armor. Milo followed, striking from another angle. Together they forced it back toward the tunnel exit. Rian grabbed a heavy pipe and smashed it into the machine's leg, sending it stumbling. Sparks flew and the Draxan crashed into a wall. Aaron fired one last shot at its core and it exploded, leaving smoke and broken metal scattered across the ice. Nira let out a sigh of relief. "We can hold them for now," she said, though exhaustion showed in her voice. Aaron nodded. "But more will come. We need to finish activating the pods and get your people ready." She placed her hands back on the control panel. Her eyes glowed as she spoke commands to the core. The blue energy pulsed and spread along the floor. The pods opened more rapidly, and Thalrin began stepping out, blinking in confusion at the humans who had saved them. One of the Thalrin, an older woman with glowing silver hair, stepped forward. "Nira?" she said. Her voice was weak but recognizable. Nira ran to her, embracing her tightly. "Mother," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. The humans watched quietly. They had entered this mission thinking they were saving one life, but they were now witnessing the revival of an entire civilization. The older Thalrin looked at the humans. You saved us. But why?" Aaron stepped forward. "Because it is the right thing to do. You were in danger and we could help. That is reason enough." The mother's eyes widened. "I have heard legends of humans, but I never believed them. You are different. You are brave." Nira's eyes filled with tears again. She whispered, "You called me brave too, Aaron, and now I see humans are not what the stories told us. You are something greater." The Thalrin began moving, some helping others from the pods, some forming a defensive line with the humans. Energy from the core flowed through the room and the blue shield strengthened. The Draxan outside were sensing the surge. Their red eyes flickered with hesitation, unsure how to approach a force so strong. Rian shouted, "We have a chance. Push forward." Aaron and Milo moved toward the far side of the chamber. Nira continued guiding the Thalrin to activate their own abilities. Many of the Thalrin had energy cores inside them, similar to hers. With guidance, they began to channel energy, forming small shields and weapons. The Draxan tried to break through the tunnels again, but this time they were met with combined force. Humans and Thalrin fought side by side, covering each other's weaknesses. Aaron saw a young Thalrin struggling with a heavy energy rifle. He ran to her side and helped adjust her aim. "You can do this," he said. She nodded, firing at a Draxan that had nearly reached the pods. The machine exploded in a burst of sparks. Milo yelled, "Look at them! They are learning!" Nira smiled faintly, exhausted but determined. They remember. The strength of the Thalrin was never gone, it only slept. Hours passed. The battle continued, but the shield held. More Thalrin gained confidence and began protecting each other, while humans provided guidance and firepower. Finally, after what felt like a lifetime, the Draxan began to retreat. Their red eyes flickered and disappeared into the tunnels. The sound of metal scraping faded, leaving only the hum of the energy core. Nira collapsed to her knees, breathing heavily. Aaron rushed to her side. "You did it. They are safe." She looked up at him, tears streaming down her cheeks. We all did it. My people, they live." Aaron smiled, placing a hand on her shoulder. "No one can take that away from you now." Ryan stepped forward, nodding with pride. "You've awakened more than a people. You've reminded us all why courage matters." The Thalrin began gathering in the center of the chamber. Some touched the walls, feeling the energy flow through them. Others approached the humans, looking with gratitude and wonder. Nira turned to Aaron, her voice trembling. "You called me brave. I never believed anyone would see me that way." Aaron looked at her calmly. "Bravery is not about not being afraid. It's about standing up, even when fear is all around you. And you did that. All of you did." Nira's hand shook. She whispered softly, "Thank you, human." Aaron nodded. "You don't have to thank me. You just had to survive. That was enough." The chamber was quiet now, filled with soft blue light and the hum of energy. Outside, the mountain shook occasionally, but the Draxan had retreated for now. The humans and Thalrin stood together, exhausted but victorious. For the first time in centuries, the Cavern of Echoes was filled with life and hope again. The Thalrin could rebuild, and the humans had reminded them that courage and kindness could exist even in the darkest places. Nira looked around at her awakened people, then at the humans beside her. "We are alive," she said. "And we will not forget this. Never again." Aaron smiled faintly. "No, you won't. And neither will I." The mountain outside began to glow in the first light of Valara's distant sun, a signal that the planet itself was awakening, just as the Thalren were. And within the cavern, hearts, human and alien, beat with a shared promise of hope, courage, and the strength to stand together. The blue light from the energy core filled the cavern, reflecting off the ice and the silver skin of the awakened Thalren. Every pod had opened and life flowed again in a place that had been silent for centuries. The Thalren, once trapped in stasis, were now standing, stretching, and slowly learning to move after their long sleep. Aaron, Milo, and Ryan stood nearby, exhausted but alert. The Draxen had retreated for now, their red eyes vanishing into the tunnels. The humans had risked their lives to save an alien species, and that courage had paid off. Nira walked slowly among her people, helping them regain balance. Some of the younger Thalren were wide-eyed, staring at the humans in awe. They had heard the stories of humans from the few survivors, stories that were filled with fear and war. But now they saw a different truth. "This is my people," Nira whispered to Aaron. Her voice was soft, trembling from exhaustion and emotion. "Alive because of you and your friends." Aaron shook his head gently. "It was your courage that led us here. We only followed." Nira smiled faintly, her hands resting on the shoulders of an older Thalren. "No, you risked everything for strangers. That is bravery beyond words." Ryan approached the group. "We need to get everyone out of the mountain and back to the ship." "The Draxen could return?" Aaron nodded. "Right. Let's organize a safe path." Together, humans and Thalren worked to prepare a safe passage. Nira's knowledge of the cavern system was invaluable. She guided her people through hidden tunnels and reinforced weak sections with energy from the core. The humans provided covering fire and strategies to slow any potential attackers. The first group of Thalren reached the surface. The cold wind hit them, but it felt different now. It was not a threat, it was freedom. For the first time in centuries, the Thalren felt the sun of Valara on their skin, the frost crunching under their feet and the open sky above them. Nira followed with Aaron and Milo, her glowing hands holding small energy devices that helped stabilize the tunnels. She paused at the entrance and turned to look back at the cavern. "This was our prison for too long," she said softly. "But now, it is a place of life again." Aaron put a hand on her shoulder. "It is, and you will rebuild it stronger than before." The group continued their journey toward the ship. As they walked, the Thalren began to speak among themselves, their voices filled with wonder and gratitude. Some asked questions about the humans, eager to learn about their courage and kindness. Others looked around at the frozen landscape, wondering how life could survive in such a harsh world. Milo chuckled quietly. "They really are curious, aren't they?" Aaron nodded. "Just like us." Different skin, different language, but curiosity is the same everywhere. When they reached the ship, the Thalren marveled at its size and technology. The humans helped them board safely. The medical team, led by Lyra, checked each Thalren, ensuring they were stable after centuries of sleep. Nira stood near Aaron as the last of her people were brought inside. "You saved us all," she said softly. "I never imagined anyone would do this. I thought we were alone forever." "You are not alone," Aaron said. "And you never will be." She looked at him, tears filling her eyes. Her body still trembled, but this time it was not from fear, it was from emotion she could hardly contain. "You called me brave," she whispered. "No one has ever said that before." Aaron smiled gently. "Bravery is not about never being afraid. It is about acting even when fear is all around you, and you acted. That is all anyone needs to see." Nira's hand shook as she held onto his arm. "Thank you, human." The words were simple, but they carried the weight of centuries. Aaron nodded, feeling the warmth of her gratitude. He realized that this moment, saving a people, witnessing their rebirth, and seeing hope return, was what humanity was capable of when it chose courage and compassion over fear. The Thalren began to settle into the ship. Some explored the corridors, marveling at the lights and sounds. Others sat quietly, still trying to understand the humans who had risked everything to save them. Ryan addressed the group. "We will take you to a safe planet nearby where you can begin rebuilding. The Draxen will not find you there," Nira turned to her people. "This is a new beginning. We will live. We will rebuild. And we will never forget the humans who stood by us when no one else could." The Thalren nodded, their voices unified. For the first time in many generations, there was hope. Hours later, as the ship lifted off Velara, Nira stood near the observation window. The mountains below glowed faintly in the morning light. The wind had calmed, and the once frozen world now seemed alive with potential. Aaron joined her, looking at the horizon. "It will be a long journey," he said, "but you will survive." "That is what matters." Nira nodded, her glowing eyes reflecting the distant sun. "I will never forget this, humans. You are not what our legend said. You are more," Aaron smiled. "We do what we can. That is all anyone can do." The ship traveled through the thin atmosphere of Velara, leaving the ice-covered mountains behind. The Thalren were beginning to share stories of their civilization, and the humans listened, learning about courage, culture, and survival. In the ship's common area, the Thalren asked Aaron to explain how humans fought, why they helped, and what it meant to be brave. He told them stories of human history, of moments when courage had changed the course of events, and of how compassion could be more powerful than weapons. Nira listened intently, her heart swelling with a mix of pride and gratitude. For centuries, she had believed her people were doomed. Now she saw that survival was not just about strength. It was about hope, kindness, and the courage to act even when the outcome was uncertain. As the ship approached the safe planet, Nira turned to Aaron. "I will never forget your face, your voice, and your courage," she said. "You reminded me what it means to be alive, to be brave, and to trust others." Aaron placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "You reminded me too. We are not so different after all." The planet below was green and vibrant, a stark contrast to the icy world they had left behind. Rivers sparkled in the sunlight, and forests stretched as far as the eye could see. The Thalren stared in wonder, many of them touching the soil for the first time in centuries. Rian spoke over the comm system. "Prepare for landing. This is your new home." Nira turned to her people. "We are free," she said. "And now we begin again." As the ship descended, Aaron stayed by her side. She looked at him one last time before helping her people prepare for their first steps on this new world. She whispered softly, barely audible over the hum of the engines, "Thank you, human." Aaron smiled faintly, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "No, Nira. Thank you for showing me what courage really is." The ship touched down gently. The Thalren stepped onto the planet, feeling warmth beneath their feet, air that was pure and sunlight that bathed them in life. The humans helped them settle, offering guidance, tools, and reassurance. Nira stood at the edge of the landing site, looking at the horizon. She turned to Aaron, her eyes filled with tears and hope. "You believed in us when no one else would. You reminded us that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. I will carry that with me forever." Aaron nodded. "And I will carry the memory of this moment too." Humans have always faced challenges, but moments like this remind us why courage matters, why compassion matters, and why hope can change everything. The sun rose higher, casting long golden beams across the green land. Nira lifted her hands toward it, feeling the warmth fill her body for the first time in centuries. Around her, her people began to rebuild, planting seeds, clearing areas for shelters, and organizing themselves with a sense of purpose. Aaron watched quietly, knowing that his journey had led him to more than a rescue mission. It had led him to witness the rebirth of a civilization and the power of courage and kindness. As the Thalren settled, Nira approached him one final time. Her hands shook slightly as she held his. "You said I was brave."
"I will never forget it."
"And I will teach my people what it means. They will know humans are capable of hope, courage, and kindness." Aaron smiled, feeling the weight of history and hope in that simple exchange. "You've shown all of us what bravery truly is. Remember, Nira, it does not come from strength alone. It comes from the heart." She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "Thank you, human." Aaron looked out at the horizon where the sun bathed the world in gold. "No, thank you," he whispered, "for showing me why we keep going, even when it is hard." The humans and Thalren stood together, watching as life returned to the planet. Mountains, rivers, and forests stretched out before them. It was not just a new home. It was a symbol of hope, survival, and the power of courage shared across worlds. And in that moment, Aaron realized that humanity had not only saved a species, but had reminded the universe of what humans were capable of. Bravery, Kindness and the unshakable choice to act for others. Even when no one was watching, Nira raised her hand to him in a quiet farewell. "We will remember," she said softly. "Always," Arin nodded. "And we will keep moving forward, together in spirit, even if we walk separate paths." The wind carried the warmth of a new beginning, and the promise of a future built on courage and hope stretched across Valara. For Nira, her people, and the humans who had risked everything, this was not the end of a journey. It was the beginning of a new story, one where bravery was recognized, kindness